apparently
You took a picture. Oh, we're not.
Oh, you're not on. Here we go. All right. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, we can't apologize to
Now
Instagram because
Instagram's live, but
we took a picture instead.
thankfully didn't share it to the story. Well, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everybody to Monday Night Live.
Yes, the best night of the week.
Best night of the week. Super excited to be joining you again tonight. This week, fortunately, we were able to get our Turning Leaf feed up.
Oh,
so those
right.
of you with our Turning Leaf feed last week, we were in trouble with that. So
Mercury has righted itself. We're headed in the right direction.
We're headed back. We're headed back on the other side. So retrograde's over. I don't think it is actually. But
no, it is.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. So that's why electronics are working apparently.
Yep. Communication is back on point.
So we are excited to get started. Dean Nixon, Kate Semmens, TurningLeaf Wellness Center. For those of you that don't know, we are super stoked for the holiday.
Yes, which is what we're going to talk about tonight on the live.
We are going to talk about how to stay grounded during the holiday season. Now, This is an important topic. We talked a little bit about it last Thanksgiving during our live, and excited to talk about it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference this time is we talked about how to deal with difficult relatives, right?
Yes.
Last year.
Yes.
And so, or whomever you're surrounding yourself with, be they relative or not, right?
Family dynamics
friends,
is what we were talking about.
Whomever you've got around you. Isn't it interesting that oftentimes these jolliest of seasons can just really put everybody's anxiety right on edge, right?
Yeah.
And so we thought tonight maybe more skill-based topic of how to stay grounded would be really, really useful.
Pie.
And pie. To be completely honest, we started ranting about pie, and I'm like, let's just go live.
We'll go live with pie.
Rant about pie.
Pie. Pie is the way. That's how you ground yourself. Nice big piece of pumpkin pie.
Good night. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You're welcome.
That's all you need to know. Oh.
Anyway, so we were talking about how oftentimes with family dynamics, it is a real challenge to us. And one of the things that we can tend to do when we go into our settings with families, we fall into old patterns or old behaviors that feel very normal and feel very natural, especially if we're going to our family of origin, for example. And even though you may not be in that family anymore, if you're the oldest in the family, oftentimes we just take over as the oldest. Or if we're the youngest, we immediately become the youngest. And we can fall into those family roles. As parents, we can fall into that mothering or fathering or nurturing role. And so a lot of these roles oftentimes can create a lot of stress and anxiety.
Absolutely. In fact, Dean and I were talking about this in my coaching session just last week about how oftentimes it's just so weird, like as an adult person to step back into like my 12-year-old brain and just start operating from that space instead of the space that I'm in now. And like you were just saying, like taking on that big sister role instead of just going and chilling and being Aunt Kate.
Yeah, it's that patterning that we fall into. It becomes very familiar with us.
Well, and you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest. You're the oldest, and so it is. It's so interesting to me. I love about 2 years ago when I really started first growing my beard out. Maybe it was even last year. I think it was last year. We rolled up to
with your Jedediah Smith beard.
I'm sorry, everybody. Like when you go back and watch those lives, please feel free. You owe it to yourself to go back and look at our lives from a year ago. It was like
mid-December is where you need to go.
Especially like the Christmas Eve one. It's like, I'm sorry. I owe everybody an apology.
You should say, I'm sorry and you're welcome.
And you're welcome. It was so hilarious. So we roll up there, and my brother, I'll never forget, my oldest brother, being the youngest, my oldest brother walks in, and he's like, oh, who is this, Santa? And then he walks over and literally puts me in a headlock. I'm a 54-year-old man in a headlock from his older brother, and I'm letting him like some goofy little teenage boy, and he's giving me the nuggie and yanking on my beard. And I just, at that moment, I thought how hilarious that must look to all of my family. But it's that family role. We fall back into it because it feels natural. And in a lot of ways, it's what we crave. You know, we crave those family dynamics. We crave those relationships and those things, but also they come with some of the old thoughts and patterns that we've worked hard to get away from.
Absolutely. And like when I said, isn't it interesting in the beginning about how like it's the holliest, jolliest time of the year and yet some of the most anxiety. And I think you're exactly right, Dean. It's that like really comfortable place for us, but also super not comfortable because it's not that space anymore. Like it's not 1998 anymore.
Right.
And mine, like your family, is probably very different and a lot more dynamic than it was in 1998. New additions that have come and gone, traumas and hurts and all the stuff that goes under the bridge and all of those things. And then we come together and celebrate and to be together and love each other. But oftentimes that can
we do our
be
best.
A little bit more traumatic as well.
It can. And we do our best. And as parents, we do our best to try and navigate through that with the dynamics that are going on in our current family. And so as family members may be older and you're bringing those adult children into the home, or those children that have gone out and they've already forged their way into the world and they're coming back, it is easy for us to also be bringing in, when they're bringing in in-laws, daughters-in-laws, son-in-laws, and that can be very, very hard. And also there's the other dynamic of when family members may not be going, because I know they alternate. So maybe your year, it's an off year for you, and you may be spending a holiday alone, or you may be spending the holiday with just you and a spouse or you and a loved one. And these are the dynamics that we're all looking at and dealing with. And so it is important for us to shift into the discussion of the coping skills, the Ada Sensor coping skills. We're always preaching coping skills, people. Coping skills really are, and I haven't gone on this rant for a minute, but we are really struggling in our world to deal with and to cope with what's going on. We are looking so far outside of ourselves for the solutions. We're looking for things in social media to solve it. We're looking for professionals to solve it. We're looking for all of these things outside of ourselves rather than learning and leaning within those coping skills. And if we need to find a way to learn them. And so two of the coping skills that we have identified tonight that are going to really be beneficial over this holiday are...
The first one I want to lead, because I think it's a perfect segue to what you just said, is acceptance. And I love how you put it, Dean, all the time, that acceptance is the absence of expectation. Thank you very much. It is kind of a tongue twister. But like you were saying, like, you know, maybe you're going into this holiday with all these different new dynamics that are coming into your family, or whomever you're surrounding yourself with, or maybe like my family, it's the first one we're going to have without my dad because he passed away this summer. And so there's that piece to kind of manage. And then, or if you're an empty nester and all the kids are somewhere else, like all those kinds of things. So I think it's a really awesome place to start is to accept what it is this year, right?
And that expectation piece is really a big piece of it.
Absolutely.
We have so many expectations, and when we were alluding to the family roles a few minutes ago, it really is those family roles come with expectations. And as we get into those expectations, when some of those are fulfilled, it feels good, but oftentimes they never truly match up exactly. You know, we always want that. Back in the day, I don't know if some people may not relate to this, but we called it the Norman Rockwell Christmas.
Yes.
And most people are like, I don't know who he is. Did he go to the moon? Who's Norman Rockwell? But the Norman Rockwell picture perfect, you know, the Thanksgiving turkey, everybody's excited. But it really is, we want that experience. And so we put that expectation on what we participate in. And then when we come back, we don't have it.
Right.
And so then we get that sense of letdown. We get the post-holiday blues. We get all of the hurt and the frustration. And if somebody didn't say hello to somebody, or if somebody didn't compliment somebody's egg salad, it's always these different dynamics. And so what we have to do, we have to shift back into that place of being open. So I would challenge all of you, here's my challenge to you is, whatever family gathering you go to this weekend, go into it with no expectations. Go into it open. Go into it not assuming how it's going to look, not assuming how it's going to feel, not assuming how it's going to be, but excited to participate. and to engage in it. And that's my challenge to you. I hope that you're able to take that challenge.
Yeah, I love it. So I was just going to slide in one more little coping skill.
Please.
Because you brought it up, and that's communication, right?
Yep.
Like, I love that you say go into it open, and make it about connection. And in order to do that, you got to communicate, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We all have to be able to communicate. Human connection is the most important thing, and that's what we all crave.
So much.
By nature, since the dawn of time, human beings have figured out how to gather together, and people have always been baffled by that. Why do I need people in my life? Why do I need people in my life? And the people that say they don't want people in their lives are usually people that are very sensitive, and they get hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to feel the feelings of hurt. It's not that they don't want people,
Right?
they just don't want to be hurt. And so, but by nature, we're groupers. And the reason we know this is because through the process of elimination, those that weren't groupers didn't keep going on and evolving. The rest of us all grouped together and evolved. And so by nature, we are needing human connection. We crave connection. It's inherent. It's a part of who we are. So we need to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Communication, best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then the other original coping skill that we had thought of before we started is focus.
Yes.
What we choose to focus on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I always challenge people to really focus on the feeling that they want to create. So we've got to go into the experience focusing on the feeling that I want to create, not the expectation of how I want to feel, but the feeling that I want to create, the feeling I want to bring into this. So as I go into that experience, I want people to feel loved. I want them to feel warm. I want them to feel that they're safe. And so if I focus on that feeling, not focusing on, oh, I want this to be this best experience, and I want to feel loved, and I want to feel happy, and I want to feel up with pie. I worked it in there.
Particularly
pecan. So, but focusing on how I want to feel and the feeling I want to bring. And that is one of the best things that we can do to really help change the dynamic. It's really crazy. I love doing this experiment in places that I go. When I go into places, I can tell what I'm bringing to the table. I can tell because of the reaction and the response that I'm getting. When I step into rooms and people are smiling and they're looking up and they're nodding and they're saying hello, and the people that I'm with are going, do you know them? Do you know them? It's like, no, I don't. I have no idea who they are, but I want them to feel loved and accepted, and they're feeling that, so they're responding. And when you do that, when you go in there with that experiment, you'll start to really see the dynamic shift and the dynamics change. Because not only are you changing the energy, your energy, but the people around you are attracted, like meets like.
Yes.
And so we bring that energy in.
Yeah, absolutely. It just is reminding me of everything that we talk about whenever we talk about goal setting or manifestation, right? Like if what your intended outcome is peace, love, sharing, connection, all those kinds of things. And so you take that in with you and express that, then that is what you're going to get. So if you're focusing on that, that's what you're going to find. That's part of the skill is you will find whatever it is you're focused on. So if you're focused on like, oh man, I'm going to go in there and Aunt Joyce is just going to like lay into me. Oh no, I don't have a boyfriend once again. And it's going to bring all this stuff up. Like if you're going in there expecting that and focused on that and looking for that, guess what? It's going to show up. That's going to happen. That'll be your story. But if you're going in there, I really just want to sit down and enjoy my family and have a great connection. I'd really like to maybe get to know my nephew a little bit more. He's 17 now, or whatever that is. I'm making all this stuff up.
Yeah,
but
that's great stuff. I'm
thank
like,
you.
wow, you know these people.
Yeah, I have a 14-year-old nephew and he's really rad, but
he is. He plays football.
He does. He's a super cool kid. But like, if that's your focus and your intention, then I mean, my money's on the fact that that's going to happen for you, that's going to be your holiday experience.
It will. And that's something I can really guarantee. It is we have to stay focused on that energy. But here's where we run into trouble is we don't focus on that energy. We focus on what we fear. We focus on, well, I'm going to go there, and what if it's awkward? I'm going to go there and people aren't going to like this. People aren't going to talk to me.
Every year this happens.
Every year this happens. And because of that thinking, every year it happens. So I can guarantee it, and I'm really good with my guarantees, that if you go in focused on the emotion and the energy that you want to bring to the room, that's the energy you're going to feel back. And if it starts to shift, and if those other things happen, check yourself. That's the second challenge I would give you, is to really check yourself. Is what am I looking for? If I'm looking for all the ways I'm going to get hurt, if I'm looking for all of the discontent, if I'm looking for those things, I'm going to find them.
Right.
I'm going to see them. I'm going to feel them. So my challenge is to really go in focused on the energy you want to bring to the room, and don't necessarily focus on the energy that's brought into the room by others, because people are in their stuff. People have stuff. We all do.
We all
and
do.
To pretend like we don't is sad. You know, the more that we act human, the more human we are, and the more open and the more genuine and the more authentic we are, the more permission we give those around us to be genuine and authentic.
Absolutely. And I think too, it's a really great environment to just start to become aware and curious about things. Like you were just saying, like if you notice repeatedly year after year, all you're looking for are those places that are going to cause contention and where the fight and the awkward is going to come from. It's a pretty good mirror that's like just being placed right in front of you, because that's all life is for us, is a big mirror experience, right?
Yep.
So to be able to say, oh, interesting. I wonder what that means about me. I wonder what that means about maybe the areas in my life I could start working on,
right,
and make some progress in motion. And what would happen if I choose to focus on something different?
And that's a great point. And the more that you focus on that, what does that say about me, or what is that telling me about me? That's a powerful place. The other part with that is you don't have to own other people's stuff. So just because other people's things are coming in, and other people's stuff is coming at you, you don't have to own that and go, well, what does that say about me? What does that feel? You don't have to do that. You just have to respond to what's going on inside of you.
Yes.
And what does that say about me? So there is a boundary that you want to set there. If you've got a family member that's really coming in and they're really struggling, or they may be, being off-putting or disrespectful or rude or any of those things, that doesn't mean it's a reflection of you, unless you really take it in too much. But if you see it and observe it, and that's where I love your Kate's always got that. That's very curious. I love that that's one of your things that you brought to the table, is be curious about it. You can always go, and I remember my mother was really great with this, is creating understanding through vulnerability. And it was that genuine looking at when somebody would bring something to the table that was negative or rude or harsh or disrespectful. My mother was always stepping back saying, I wonder what's going on in their life. I wonder what they're struggling with. I wonder what their pieces are. And it was super powerful for me growing up to have that in my toolbox, to be able to step back and go, okay, well, that's their issue.
Yeah, wow.
I wonder what they're struggling with, but it's not my issue. Now, I've had to work hard to maintain that. I'm not the greatest at it, but I'm getting better every day.
It is a constant work in progress for me, that is for sure.
Yeah.
But I love that you brought that up, because it doesn't always belong to us, right?
Yep.
Our reaction to it belongs to us, but we don't have to pick it up and own it.
That's
love that you said that, because it could be just a them issue.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a you issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we wind down, we're already here at our 20-minute mark.
We love hanging out with you guys. Time flies.
It does go so quick. We are excited to hear how it goes. Please, jump in on the comments. Thank you. All these people popping in, saying hello. We're so grateful that you're watching it. And please, again, make sure you're talking to people about these concepts. Talk to them about family members. As you're going into things, as you're driving with the family, bring it up on the drive to the activity. Make sure you're talking about these things, these coping skills, these challenges. Implement them. Put them into your life. I promise you they're going to help you. But thank you again for watching. Like and share our videos.
We love you, and have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Eat all the pie that you possibly can.
Lots of pie.
You're not getting any younger. Today is the day.
Seize the pie.
Seize the pie.
Good night.
Mwah. Have a
Happy
great week.
Thanksgiving.